Just want to see how the mic is in case there are any difficulties before I even start with the review. I just want to see and make sure have mic is in case. Yeah, it sounds good. Okay. Difficulties before I even start. Hey guys, it is Christian here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Obsession. Yes, Obsession, the directorial debut from Curry Barker. It was written and directed by him, and his directorial debut. And the movie stars Michael Johnston, Indy Navarrete, Cooper Tomlinson, Megan Lawless, and Andy Richter. So the film follows Bear, played by Johnston, a music store employee who buys a supernatural toy that grants his wish for his friend Nikki to fall in love with him, resulting in horrific consequences. Horrific indeed. I have written my review on Letterboxd. I'm going to be using that as a reference. I'll expand on some of the points in case I want to. But yeah, Obsession. When this year began, this movie really wasn't on my radar. I didn't really know much about it. But then when the movie came out a month ago, hearing how acclaimed it was, critics love it, and hearing how popular it's been with audiences, like it's been a huge hit at the box office. It's by far the highest grossing film from Focus Features. So, like, hearing all the positive reception that has come this movie's way, I knew I wanted to check it out eventually. And especially with my last few movie vlogs being for Michael and The Mandalorian and Grogu, I knew I had to have a redemption arc and see something actually good. So after the positive reception came out, I knew I wanted to see this film and make a movie vlog of it. The reason why I have been able to make as many movie vlogs recently was because I was on vacation for 2 weeks in Italy, so I wasn't able to make any videos or anything. But now I'm here. I'm going to be doing 3 reviews this week, and this is the first of them. I just saw this movie today, and wow, what a movie this was. I think it is probably the scariest movie I've seen in a while. I'm a little bit of a wuss when it comes to horror. With jump scares, I get super squeamish, but I do like horror films. I like watching them, and especially when they're good, like this one. It makes all the suffering and jump scares worth it, you know. It's very scary but very amazing at the same time. This movie is the debut of Curry Barker, and it's one hell of a debut, man. He originated from YouTube, and this whole movie's success story is probably the coolest of the entire decade, possibly so far. As I said in my Letterboxd review, quite possibly the movie success story of the decade. So this movie is from a YouTuber who's under 30 years old, and it costs less than $1 million. It costs $750,000, and it has been able to make over $300 million at the box office, and has been loved by critics, audiences. It's by far the highest grossing film from Focus Features, and we'll see if there's a possible awards campaign later this year. Focus Features is planning an awards campaign, so we'll see if that hype for the movie will be able to carry into the fall and the winter and next year. This movie's success story is just so cool. And to start with the things I loved about this movie, I thought the direction from Barker was brilliant. All the scenes were very well staged, very scary. There were some moments of dark comedy in there. And the script, I think, is probably going to be the one to beat this year, to be honest, for my favorite script for the year. I mean, the dialogue was excellent. Again, scary moments, some dark comedy in there. Although there were some moments that I actually didn't quite find funny that the theater found funny. But we'll get to those. It had some dark comedy. I would say this is probably the most engaged I've been with a movie in quite a bit. Not to say that, like, I get engaged. I was engaged with, like, Sinners, One Battle, all the great movies I saw last year. I was super engaged with them. But this is one, like, when I watch a movie, like I think about my thoughts as the movie's playing. I obviously don't commentate the film and speak out loud because I'm not one of those assholes. But like when a movie's on, like when I'm watching a movie in theaters, I'll be thinking about stuff, like stuff I may want to write in my review and all that. And this is like the first one. I feel like that's quite common with horror films. When people watch a horror movie, not in theaters, like at home. Hopefully not in theaters, and they'll like talk to the screen, tell the characters what to do, and all of that. I feel like that's quite common with horror, and throughout this movie, I was thinking like in here about like what these characters should do. It was mainly with Bear, but some of the others as well, I guess. Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of a representation of how engaging the movie was and how easy it is for viewers my age and viewers other viewers to kind of think about what they would do in this scenario and what the other characters should do. Like I just think that's kind of a representation of how engaging the movie was. Like I remember like in the beginning, like my brain was going crazy and I was like, no, Bear, like you should be with Sarah, uh you should just tell Nikki how you feel, like all that stuff. I wasn't speaking because I'm not one of those assholes, but my brain was going crazy, like throwing in all these thoughts. I was thinking it, but I wasn't saying it. But yeah, I just think like if a movie's able to get my brain to do that, that probably speaks to how engaged I was with it. As with the cast, this movie follows four. There are like four prominent characters, I'd say. There's Bear, there's Nikki, there's Ian, and Sarah. But it's Bear and Nikki who are the two biggest characters of the film. We'll start with Michael Johnston's performance as Bear. I thought he did excellent, phenomenal performance. Um, as the protagonist, as the protagonist. I found him relatable in the beginning. A lot of people have been there where they have crushes on people, and they may not feel the same way, or you may not have the courage to tell them how you feel. So I found that aspect of his character relatable, and thought people could see themselves in that. However, as the film progresses, after he makes the wish that Nikki would love him more than anyone in the world, um, he makes constant aggravating decisions. Um, I found even aggravating, even though before that one, like he would get so close to telling Nikki how he felt, but then he wouldn't. And I knew like even if he did, she wouldn't. Like, what am I trying to say here? Like if he had said that he loved Nikki, she wouldn't love him back. Because I knew like from the beginning, they show her, she doesn't really seem to be into him, but then they show Sarah, who's super nice to Bear, and deep down like she's the one that he should be with, but he's so fixated on Nikki that he just ignores her. But I digress. But yeah, as the film progresses, he makes so many aggravating choices, and he also I'd actually say he crosses the line into villain territory with certain aspects. I am one of those people who thinks that Bear is the villain of this movie. Like there are so many times, I think, especially towards the end, where he just crosses the line into villain territory. Most notably when he rapes Nikki. That's how I'm gonna word it. In the movie, you may not know that it doesn't like. In the movie, you may not assume that it's sexual assault, but the real Nikki wouldn't have been able to consent to it, so it was. And then this scene was just horrible. When she asks him, the real Nikki asks him to kill her, and he refuses, saying something in this vein. I'm not 100% sure if that's 100% the quote, but it's like, "What is so bad with being with me?" or "What is so bad about being with me?" or something. He says something in that vein, and at that moment, you just hate the guy's guts, you know. Um, so yeah, even though he was being terrorized, I mean, I did feel for him in the beginning when he lost his cat and all that. But like even as he was being terrorized, I found it hard to empathize with him because none of this would have happened if he didn't wish, like if he didn't cast the wish. Like he kind of brought it on himself, and he was liking some of it, I think when any of the moments, like the moments where she was like making out and they were, doing it, he was liking that stuff. Let's not lie. Let's not lie there. Um, so yeah, with all that, like he kind of like brought it on himself. You F around, you find out that he found out. Like, yeah, none of this would happen if he didn't cast the wish. The wish was the genesis of all of the horrible things that happened in this movie. But Well Johnson delivered an amazing performance. Probably my second favorite lead actor performance of the year so far, behind Ryan Gosling from Project Hail Mary. I'd say the real standout here, as everyone's been saying, is Indy Navarrete as Nikki. I said in my review on Letterboxd, her performance is the one that everyone's talking about and has even garnered Oscar buzz. I think she knows all of the sides of Nikki very well, from her normal side, and then when she becomes possessed, I think she plays the crazy side very well. And even like the real Nikki trying to peep in, she does it all so incredibly well, so believable, so creepy. Um, this movie would not have been as effective if her performance wasn't on the level that it was. However, like even though Nikki is technically the antagonist, freaky Nikki at least is real Nikki's the victim. Um, but yeah, Nikki herself, even though she's the antagonist, I did find it easy to empathize with her as she was being taken over by this entity, or by the freaky Nikki persona. I think about that, the whole movie serves as a great commentary for toxic masculinity, male entitlement, the whole nice guy trope. As Bear does in this movie when he makes the wish, like the movie serves as a cautionary tale, I guess, for what happens when men strip women of their autonomy and they feel entitled to a partner or entitled to have control over them. All of those things Bear is guilty of in the movie. So the whole movie is just like a commentary on men stripping women of their agency and making them their slaves or puppets, I guess, or like basically wanting them to do everything that they want them to and having full control. Even though Nikki does messed up things when possessed, I mean, she murders people, she's crazy, she hurts herself, she screamed. Like, I think I actually heard that Indy Navarrete damaged her vocal cords while making this. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it. But yeah, even though she does all those messed up things, like I knew that wasn't the real Nikki. I knew it was just freaky Nikki taking over. And freaky Nikki wouldn't have existed if not for Bear's ego. Even though Nikki does messed up things when possessed, I knew it was all the product of a man's ego. That's the truth, in my opinion. I just said it's the truth, and that's in my opinion. But I digress. But yeah, I think her performance is probably the best performance of the year so far, and closer to the end of the year, I know people are still going to be talking about her. That's how good her performance was. As for the other performances, those two are really the big ones, but I do want to shout out the other two friends, Cooper Tomlinson as Ian and Megan Wallace as Sarah. Andy Richter was good as the music store owner and Sarah's father, but he didn't really have a lot of screen time, so I can't really say I have too much to say about him. But he was good. Ian was a douchebag, horrible friend, backstabber, was with Nikki on and off. When Bear wanted him to like try to make all this end, he refused and instead wished for $1 billion. Horrible friend, horrible. Probably the secondary villain of this movie. Probably the main villain before Bear makes his wish. Then Bear becomes the villain. Technically, Freaky Nikki is pretty evil. Not Nikki herself, but yeah. Hold on. I'd say no. Ian's one of the villains. He's one of the villains of this movie. Horrible friend. Like even Bear, I think Bear's the villain, but he treats Bear really bad, really horribly. And then with Sarah, she was a character I felt very sorry for. She's probably the most pure character in this movie. She loved Bear. She had a crush on Bear. and they could have been together. Like even in the beginning, like it's so obvious that like because Nikki's not really into Bear, like be with someone who is actually gonna love you, and that's would have been the case with Sarah. But they could have been together if not for Bear. Not if not for Bear being too like they could have been together if Bear wasn't too fixated on Nikki, is what I want to say. Because he didn't love her back, he wanted Nikki. In a way, I feel like they kind of have very similar character traits, Sarah and Bear. They are both in this situation where they love someone. Sarah loves Bear, Bear loves Nikki, but they don't. Uh, their love isn't returned. Like they don't love them back romantically. But Bear is like the representation of how not to respond to that. Um, Sarah responds to it in a more mature way, but then yeah, Bear who makes that wish and strips Nikki of any agency and makes her kill people. And like it's horrible that freaky Nikki killed Sarah and all of that, but I feel like again all that would have been prevented if he didn't make the wish. That's where it keeps coming back to. Um, As for the film's technical elements, I thought the cinematography was gorgeous. It looked stunning. There were very striking shots in there. The score was very good. The editing was very effective. There were various transitions that caught me off guard. Um, the sets looked good. Like it's a very technically well-made movie, and they made it for less than $1 million. So, yeah. As for awards, because I'll talk briefly about awards. I think on its own, like this movie wouldn't be an awards contender, but Focus Features is already doing a campaign for it, and I could see them prioritizing this and thinking that they have something special with this. I mean, last year horror had an incredible year at the Oscars, with Sinners getting 16 nominations, the most ever in Oscar history, including 4 wins. Amy Madigan won supporting actress for Weapons. Frankenstein did well, got 9 nominations. The Ugly Stepsister got a makeup nomination. Like horror did very well. So I do think last year kind of could show that the Academy has had a new appreciation for horror. I mean, obviously Get Out and The Substance also did well, but last year was like really the year where horror did well. So I think with that and this potentially being Focus Features priority, I could see this being a Best Picture contender and potentially getting nominated. I think Critics' Choice is on the table, Golden Globe. They probably put it in comedy, even though I don't think the movie's that funny. There's some dark humor. They probably put it in comedy, and again, Critics' Choice is easy. PGA is easy. Probably missed BAFTA, but when it needed it at that point. But yeah, if it gets Best Picture, obviously it's getting screenplay. I think the screenplay is pretty undeniable. I do wonder if like whatever wins Best Picture is then adapted. I do kind of wonder if Curry Barker can win screenplay for this, but then he's competing with Martin McDonagh for Wild Horse 9. I'll talk about that when I do my predictions soon. I'll probably do my predictions in a few weeks, maybe. Only in the above the line categories. I'll only do the above the line categories for my first prediction stream. But then, of course, I think it gets screenplay. I think you have to nominate Eddie Navarrete. In whichever category she ends up being campaigned in, lead, supporting. I would kind of say maybe she'd have a better shot at winning in supporting. I think Best Actress has more options for the win. Meanwhile, supporting actress, like if Indy Navarrete's not there, like there are not really any others that really pop out to me as a potential winner. Yeah, this is one of the most popular performances of the year. I mean, if they do campaign her in lead and she still ends up winning, like it would have all worked out. But I do think supporting would guarantee a win quicker. And I feel like she is supporting. Bear's technically the main character, even though he's the villain in my eyes. He is the protagonist. But yeah. Any other categories? Maybe it could get casting. They do cast there are a lot of newcomers in the cast, so maybe it could get that. But I think that's it. I don't think it ever gets director or editing or any of those. I think lead actor is very competitive, so I don't think he's getting in. Michael Johnston. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Overall, Obsession, it's probably my favorite film of the year so far. I do love Project Hail Mary as well, but I think this one takes the cake. I think it's stronger in the writing department, the character department. Project Hail Mary is probably stronger visually, but yeah. I think the writing's phenomenal, the directing's great, the performances are excellent. It serves as a cautionary tale to be careful what you wish for. Um, and I hope this movie stays in the conversation towards the end of the year. I think it will. So yeah, I think it's great that a movie like this has been able to become as popular and loved that like as I think it's great that a movie like this has become as popular and loved as it has been, and that everyone's talking about it and everyone's seeing it. Um, so yeah, the movie's excellent. Have no notes, no complaints, no nitpicks. I think it's a perfect film, and I'm going to give Obsession a 10 out of 10. Go see it, and be careful what you wish for. So yeah, that is it for my movie review for Obsession. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.